Breaking up is never easy, but saying goodbye to your old clunky work tools? Well, that's easy. Just repeat after me. It's not me, it's definitely you. You rigid, unfriendly software. It's time to freshen things up with Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use. With stunning dashboards, customizable templates, and built-in AI that actually works, switching to a new work platform has never felt this good. So move on to Monday.com.
Oh, we are back. We made it. We didn't get arrested.
Oh my God.
We did. Did you get arrested, Robert?
I did not get arrested. No, I did not.
And I didn't get arrested either. And no one shot rubber bullets at me. Right here on RulaskaThoughts. Oh, but you know what? People were throwing daggers at me. Robert and I were at the same protest. And so we can talk about that experience.
Oh, I knew that was going to come up.
No. I really wasn't going to bring that up. I'm just talking
And
about
yet you did.
No, I didn't. I swear to God. Robert knows what I'm talking about. I really was meaning I have things I want to say about going to the West Hollywood protest.
Don't you remember I have liver cancer, Miha?
Anyway, the voice you hear is coming to you just right there. He's kissing West Hollywood. He's the one, the only Mr. Robert Mata. Hello.
Hey, Joe. Just another day of being in West Hollywood, surrounded by seamen. Everyone's favorite new fucking joke that we've heard 500 times.
Yeah, when you were 11. That is I cringe when that was going on.
Why is Law Roach incapable of giving a critique without referring to himself or telling some asinine story about himself?
Oh, so you don't like him? I mean, I
just think he's narcissistic in a boring way.
He styles Ariana Grande, right?
Well, he did Zendaya for sure. And I'm not in any way ever trying to clock his aesthetic abilities because those are obviously out of this world. I'm just saying having to deal with him on the panel, I'm just never interested in what he has to say. Well,
I wish... Oh, wait, we're getting to... People are going to be mad at me for saying this, but we're getting to Drag Race way too early. By the way, if you guys want to hear quality content, you're going to want to go to... Because, the public feed might be thinking this week, wow, we got pretty much the entire show. And, oh, you think you did. But it might be one of the longest shows of the season because Taylor and I went on so many fucking tangents. It wasn't even literally not funny. When I was like, what? Why are we talking about this for so long? But that content is available to you over on the Patreon app or patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. And I'll even tell you what, that bonus material, if you go sign up on the public feed, I will release it. Maybe not today. I have to go somewhere after this, but in the next day or two, I will release it on the public feed because everyone wants to hear me and Taylor talk about old 80s sitcoms.
Of course. Who else is talking about it?
Me, specifically there were a lot of specific shows. I don't want to get into it. 80s. Taylor and I really made a show for Gen X this week. It was Gen X coded like nobody's business. So you can get that at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. The full version already exists over on the Apple Podcast. If you scroll up, I looked up this price today, $6.45 a month. Over at Apple Podcasts, you get, it's called Total Recap, where you get the show unedited, uncut, everything. You get that, and you also get Just Between Us Girls, and you don't have to deal with Patreon. But those are your two options. We're going to do it right there. Robert and I were at the same protest this weekend. And I know the jokes are going to write themselves. John Paul and I were in the playground. Because it was shady. And still a lot of room. Not a lot of people are going in the playground, which was really weird because it was actually pretty close to the stage. The people there were, I would say, we went to the No Kings Day for West Hollywood. I was very amused by everybody there because you had your run-of-the-mill shirtless bears walking around for no reason.
Absolutely, it was a cruising session for them.
Yeah, then you had your Ivory Tower liberals with their entire family. I really did see this wearing their WGA shirts, which I was like, This wasn't necessary.
Yes.
And so, and then for some reason, now I know they threw this together on the fly, okay? But and Robert will know what I'm talking about. West Hollywood, center of show business, the gays, they're production designers, they're production managers. They do this for a living. Couldn't put together a stage where everyone could see and you could hear them. Pobrecita Rosanna Arquette. Everyone was shouting. Were you there for that when they were shouting?
That's when I had to leave.
Oh, that's when you left.
Yeah,
Okay,
I stayed
so
for
go
the
ahead.
professor, and then Nick wanted to leave during the whole professor thing. So he's like tugging my arm the whole time. He's like, let's go. And I'm like, this is actually the person I want to hear talking, not fucking Dustin Lance Black cosplaying some like
was he there?
activist. Yes, he gave that. That's what when I texted you, God, someone shut this queen up, because he, a wealthy white man, was telling everyone explicitly, this is not the oppression Olympics. I don't care if you have it worse. Link arms and let's just scream love. And I was like, the audience ate it up because that's the West Hollywood family friendly protest that it was. It was just like, it's just like a fucking Glee episode.
Because he was talking for a long time, I think that I thought I didn't hear him get introduced. Oh, if I would have heard him get introduced and knew that's who it was, I would have been booing the whole time.
Well, I know.
You would have known where I was because you would have heard boo, boo.
When I heard him be announced and I knew that you were going to be there also, I cackled because I knew that you were going to have that kind of a reaction.
I didn't hear him get introduced. I think I'd walked
it's a
up
shame.
as he. Oh God, I would have.
I walked up when the mayor was giving her speech, and then he was the one immediately following.
Oh, I think I just either was there and didn't hear him. I was talking to John Paul or doing so. I don't know. I did not hear him get introduced. And I would have been booed. I would have been like that old lady in The Princess Bride when Princess Buttercup walks out. Dude, that would have been me when he was. I would have like found my way close to him and been like, boo, boo. You won an Oscar for a movie that was just a rewrite of the documentary. Boo.
And cast the known abuser, a violent one.
Cast a known abuser and also like
and groomed an Olympic athlete.
Groom my friend. Yeah, how do you like it that Jonathan's now a meth head? Not big, but I will say
it was just so.
Let's Black.
I know we
Not
don't get into
because of
politics
him at
often,
all,
but
not
like
relation.
the West Hollywood protest was so gay derogatory. Like, and I know that we need to have this family friendly environment in which people can come and express their righteous indignation. But having been at several protests not several, I actually only went to 2 downtown, where the tenor of the protest was very much more anger and, social justice versus like, let's link hands and say love. It was just very, it was jarring, a strange dissonance between things that have been going on in Los Angeles.
But if I'm being honest, this is why I went to West Hollywood. I did not want to get, like I said, top of the show, shot in the ass with rubber bullets. I didn't want to be gassed. I wanted to go there, kiki for a little bit, and then go to get some lunch. That's exactly
what people did. I'm sure High Tops was busting out the seams afterwards with gays getting drinks, saying that's enough activism for today. And that's not a bad thing either. To me, it was just 2 different environments.
I'll be honest with you. That's the tea for me. But also, I will say too, it was funny because we're going to see one Adam Salandra this weekend at the Fatchler, and there were so many Adam Salandras walking around with their Chinese babies that was making me laugh as well.
What was making me laugh, speaking of the set design, was I was standing at the front because that's just the entrance we walked into. So in any of the pictures of the crowd, I'm probably standing like in the front in my little hat. But the people, for some reason, they weren't managing the staircase that they were speaking in front of. So random gays and strays just kept walking up and down the stairs behind the speakers. It kept cracking me up. It was so weird.
That's what I'm saying though. Like, that's what I'm like. Let me put it this way. And I'm actually saying that this is not that hard of a job. Okay. There are a lot of things to detail, but you would think that they would have people on who knew what they were doing. And so like when we did the West Hollywood thing, in fact, I'm going to not take zero credit here. When we did the West Hollywood voting thing, myself and the one that's Evie Oddly's friend, we were the lead people on the team. But if I'm being honest with you, we had these young activists who were working essentially for us. Girl, they had their fucking shit together and they knew how to boom, 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 boom. Anything, all the logistical stuff that went well with this thing was completely them, not me. And that's what I'm saying is, how are they not getting this shit together with a bunch of faggots who know what they're doing, who do this every day for a living?
And that's why Again, I recognize the necessity of this type of protest and this type of gathering, but even still, where were the grassroots community organizers? Where were like the people of color activists who are actually able to speak to their own experiences? It was an all-white, all-star panel written by Hollywood screenwriters for what felt like a stage full of, central casting extras. It was, or an audience rather. It was a strange thing.
Not Robert getting to the heart of the matter, and I'm like, I couldn't see.
Well, people ask me, and I'm talking to other friends in other cities, what were your No Kings protests like? And so we've just been having conversations about that this weekend.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, why don't we take a break? When we come back, yes, we are going to talk about the episode. No talk about the TV show Alice, I promise.
Breaking up is never easy, but saying goodbye to your old clunky work tools? Well, that's easy. Just repeat after me. It's not me, it's definitely you. You rigid, unfriendly software. It's time to freshen things up with Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use. With stunning dashboards, customizable templates, and built-in AI that actually works, switching to a new work platform has never felt this good. So move on to Monday.com.
On average, you'll have to wait 31 days to see an OBGYN. And if you're dealing with an infection or outbreak, you know you need care fast. That's where Wisp comes in. Connect with a U.S. licensed provider online and pick up safe, effective treatment at your local pharmacy that same day. Plus, get birth control and more delivered in all 50 states. Take control with comprehensive sexual and reproductive care, all from your phone. Wisp. That's HelloWisp.com. The waiting room can wait.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with Auto Quote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
And we are back. Robert, the episode. Usually you and I both had a very busy weekend, and protest, Father's Day. We're going to talk about the episode, I promise. Protest Day was a very busy day for me. Woke up, went to the protest, got lunch with John Paul, came home, worked for a couple hours at my side hustle job, and then came home and made mango sorbet. It was a whole
Slay.
thing. And a salsa.
Oh.
Salsa.
I can never just make one salsa. I have to make like 3 at a time.
I usually do, but today I had like leftover ingredients from those 3 salsas. Mm-hmm. And so I made one salsa to combine it all together. Anyway, but usually at least once or twice, Robert and I will text each other something about the episode. Even if it's a little thing, like I can't with La Roche or whatever, like you were saying. But we've not chatted at all about the episode. So I'm very curious to hear what you thought about this episode.
I think it's such an interesting episode because there's been so much fanfare about Wicked the last year and, truly the last couple decades and moving forward, of course, this year. So it was just a very gay episode, very homosexual, as Denali would put it. A lot to be said about Cynthia and Ariana's weird-ass chemistry and the fact that they stare longingly into each other's eyes at all times. Mm-hmm. But with all that said, I watched it with my partner who is a massive Wicked super fan. And
oh, really?
He has mostly doesn't watch Drag Race, so he's watching it to watch Ariana and Cynthia and to see a Defying Gravity lip sync and see these ridiculous community theater storylines that they're doing with the design challenge proposition. So it was weird watching it through his lens and then through mine. I'm actually much less interested in Wicked. I like it, but it doesn't, I'm not singing it in my shower.
I'm with you.
It's, I don't know. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't good either. And I am going to have to tell you, Miss Josito, you did not invent the intonation of horrible.
I know I did. I've talked about this before.
Oh, do you know where? I shouldn't quiz you about your own verbology. Never mind. Sorry.
No, I've talked about this before. I actually don't say horrible in real life. I say horrible in real life. It's my own little weird podcast nod to Howard Stern, which is how he says it.
Oh, Howard Stern says it. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was in New York. Yeah.
In the Drag Race canon, Latrice is the one who says horrible like that.
Oh, really? Interesting.
In season 4. I think in the Snatch Game episode, before she gives her speech about how everyone doing awfully made her do awful.
Oh yeah, that's always her thing.
Time.
That's
and then I think she said it during Untucked once or twice, and that's where I got it from. And then hearing you say it, I'm like, oh, Joe must have that same reference, but then obviously it's coming from a different place.
Yeah. So, no, I talked about it from my own little tiny nod to my biggest inspiration for this. But what were we talking about? The show?
How the episode was weird. I don't know.
I think so. There's been a lot of weird discourse about it too. Like I've seen some Roscoe's interviews where people are trying to, they're always afraid of offending World of Wonder, but essentially, Naisha's trying to push it on Roscoe's that Ginger Minj is, highly favored, blessed and highly favored by World of Wonder, and that they're trying to push this narrative. Where did you fall? Who did you think won Runway alone this challenge?
If I was not judging in pairs, then I probably would have put Diabetti and Alyssa Hunter in the top for the designs alone.
Okay.
Not exactly what you asked, but that's who I think should have been the top 2. The whole judging in pairs thing was very contrived.
Mm-hmm. But what if you were judging in pairs?
Then I guess I would probably say Alyssa and Cynthia Lee Fontaine. And I can't believe I'm saying that. I can't. But really, like Ginger's look was so not good to me, and I thought that Acid Betty was doing a complete redux of her roller look from season 8. I'm surprised no one has mentioned it in any of the spaces that I've engaged with in the last couple of days. So they they sort of bombed their teams down, really. And at least in Cynthia and Alyssa, both of them had cohesive, well-designed looks, cardboard aside.
I guess I just didn't see. I guess maybe because I'm not a looks person, I'm going. But you are. But you also.
I wouldn't really call myself a looks person either. I just judge everything that's put in front of me.
But what I'm saying, but what I was going to say as well, though, is that you're more look based than I am. In that, you also though like a good story. You're a writer, so like. To me, I just thought, look, all the stories are not the greatest stories ever, but I just thought Acid and Denali had the best of the stories.
Well, Denali's look was also pretty bad, I will say. Is very basic.
Do you agree with this looking that they were doing with Denali's look and all that?
The story just basically being we come together to make iced coffee. Like, I really do think maybe the only movie available to Denali in the hotel room was Elemental by Pixar, because she just kept fucking referencing it. And it's just not that interesting a concept. Fire and ice. Ooh. I'd rather have the heat miser and the snow miser, quite frankly.
Very interesting take here. What it still goes to is, do you think there's a narrative where they're trying to push Ginger forward?
I can't say yes, definitely, but the objective results of this episode definitely support that argument. Yes. I don't know if it's my position, but I see what people are saying when they're like, Ginger did not win that challenge. Mm-hmm. And nobody won that lip sync. So,
yeah. That lip sync. It was like, what a weird song. Not a weird song. Obviously, they're going to do Wicked, but like, it was just bizarre. Did you get what I was saying? Like, you couldn't, for just the iconic moment of it all, bring in a couple of something to lift them up a little higher? I think
now would have been the perfect time to do it, because they're not lip syncing for their lives. They're lip syncing for some random ass little point.
And it would have gone viral, would have gone down, a little bit. It's because that song, like you said, it builds to something. In fact, one of the jokes that's always, you'll see this online sometimes, is people showing, because this was true on Broadway and people do it sometimes in like regional musical theater, whenever the cherry picker would break or something would go wrong, they would have this weird choreography to it. It was always very funny where I think like the people get on their knees or something like that. The cast gets on they do something weird and they'll show footage of that. But then regional theaters that don't have cherry pickers or whatever, the cast does weird things to make it look, and it's funny. It's funny to see because the song begs to have some sort of momentum,
a moment.
A moment. And then this was just like nothing.
Yeah, I have two points. First being, I think it was Defying Gravity that Bianca Del Rio had a rope hoist her into the up above, and it comically fails awfully. So the song's happening and she's just flopping around the whole damn club. No, it's on accident, and that's what makes it even funnier because she's trying to swim around like the air to make sure that she's actually performing and lip syncing to the audience, but it's a mess. And I wonder if they were afraid of that type of situation, or they're just not interested in having it to begin with, like you said. But also, too, the only time they've ever really added some kind of effect to a lip sync that I can think of immediately is incidentally during another power ballad sung by Idina Menzel when they did "Let It Go." In season 12, Britta versus Aiden Zane, and they had a bunch of snow like coming down. It was weird, also because that song also begs for something better than the Drag Race stage.
But what was the one where they had fans?
Oh, was that in All Stars 8?
I don't remember. It was part of the channel where they had to basically do fanography, or they called it, or something.
That does sound right. I forgot about that. It's probably from All Stars 8 or 9 because I never spent any time thinking about those seasons.
Now, do you want to go back to your rant about Law Roach?
No, it's not a rant. It's just that I roll my eyes every time the panel gets to him because I know he's about to talk about himself.
And also,
I don't think he's that interesting to fucking talk about himself that much. We get it. You have the same common gay experiences that everyone else has had. How interesting.
Yeah. But it's one of these things is, there's this you've probably heard of him. He's very famous, but maybe not. Do you know who Kenji Lopez Alt is?
I recognize the name. Tell me
he's
more.
He's a YouTube chef, but he's famous or whatever. And he's also really annoying, right? But he's super like internet food YouTube famous, right? And so now he has like a whole fancy production and stuff like that. And so he thinks he's super funny. And you see this thing where he makes like the lamest fucking joke. The lamest joke. I saw it today on a video about a spatchcock chicken. God, dude, the jokes are like horrible. Okay? And the crew is busting up like he's fucking Robin Williams in an outtake of Mrs. Doubtfire. Mm-hmm. Like, they are just like laughing. I'm like, and I wonder if Law Roach has just surrounded himself with people who just laugh at everything he says. So he thinks his semen joke is just crushing it. That said, gays do have very basic humor and do laugh at stupid things like that, which is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure I'll do it in the course of this conversation at some point, honestly. And I'm sure if I
not
at
the
brunch with Law Roach, we'd laugh. I threw it myself.
So I want to move. Oh, that was at me. Like I was like, Joe's gonna make one of his corny ass semen jokes, and so I got a message this morning, which I know it won't blow your mind. It literally blew my mind. Okay, I'm gonna read it. And by the way, on paper it doesn't blow your mind, but it did make me realize something. He goes, "Hi Joe, I was listening to the newest recap with you and Taylor. You were talking about how Diabetes was part of the season that never ends, season 14. It's chocolate. Daya was brought back after being sent home first, but Bosco was the one that came back because they got the golden chocolate bar. Now, I've said all that because I completely forgot that Deja Skye was in bracket 1 of this season. She was also season 14. But I guess what I'm getting at is, oh my God, Deja really is that forgettable. And I'm not saying like that to be mean, but I only remembered she was on this season of All Stars, even though I've watched every episode so far because y'all were talking about the queen from her season. I remember Olivia Lux and Phoenix going home. What in the hell possessed me to forget that Deja Skye was a contestant? You might be onto something, Joe. Robert, I forgot Deja Skye was on this season. When I read this message, I thought he was. I thought he was mistaken. I thought it was like, oh, he's thinking about something else. And I was like, oh no, she was in bracket 1.
How do you not remember your own rants?
With her, I think I choose, it's like a trauma with her. But you know, what's funny, and I don't know that my phone heard me or whatever, just today, early after I saw this Instagram message, I saw a TikTok of her bitching about how people are mean to her in the comments. And she goes, if I didn't have to post videos and social media and whatnot, I would get rid of social media. I'm like, bitch, you can post videos on social media and not look at the comments. I posted a video on TikTok and Instagram. I haven't gone to the fucking comments. The comments aren't for me. Don't go to the comments.
She joked on the show that she was a narcissist, so we shouldn't be surprised that she wants to engage as much with whatever conversation is happening surrounding her, but then she's upset that people don't live. Sorry, Diva. What are you going to do?
Yeah. She even said, oh, like any queen, because she goes, I love when people film my performances and I like to go back and watch them. Okay, go back and watch. You don't have to go to the comments. You don't have to go to the comments. I saw, because you get the little notifications. I saw some nasty comment come in. Like the first line was like, no one forced you to go or something like that. Guess what? I didn't go look at the comment. I was like, why would I intentionally open my phone and go hurt my own feelings?
Because people think that it's likely that they'll receive validation from those comments. They set themselves up.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Anyway, so just a reminder, when Dacia Sky was on this season, there really wasn't much to this episode. And I think you're right. It wasn't a terrible experience to watch. It wasn't unpleasant, but there's really not much discussion to have. I think maybe we'll have more discussion next week, or even we'll be thinking about it when they release the preview this week. I would venture to say, based on what I see, I think they're just all going to give the points to each other, but the only way you get discussion from these is in the MVQ points.
Or if something was super utterly fantastic, but there wasn't much of that happening this week.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty normal run-of-the-mill episode. How do you predict they're going to distribute these MVQ points?
I think you're right on point. I think that the teams are just going to swap. What else makes sense? This is probably the most easy, predictable setup right now.
Yeah, because as I was saying on the episode, is by this stage in phase 2 and phase 1, they were already, before they even knew what the MVQ points were, they were building alliances. And this group hasn't seemed to be doing that. They're just like, yeah, we're all here.
No, this group really isn't doing anything except Diabetes trying to stir the pot in conversations by asking confrontational questions to her fellow queens, which I'm grateful at least someone's trying something, I guess, but I think she could be a little bit better at it.
You might know something about this. So a clip from Sibling Rivalry came on my TikTok, and it's Monet and Bob talking, and they're talking about how, I don't know what order it comes in, but essentially, Bob is saying that when he hosted the pit stop, Vanjie was the worst guest that he had on the pit stop. That he couldn't get her to answer a question or anything, right? And I went and watched it. And it's true. He'd ask her a question and she just wouldn't answer the question, and not even in like a Vanjie's going on a tangent kind of way. He would directly ask her a question. She'd give a non-answer. And so, but then he also says to Monet, oh, it's like you were saying about Diabetes, but I don't know if you knew anything about this.
I don't. Not at all, actually.
If anyone's listening and can either point me to the episode or tell me what Bob is talking about, could be very curious to hear how Diabetes was a bad guest. Thank you.
I'm sure we could just Google or YouTube pit stop Diabetes and it'll pop up. She probably hasn't had that many appearances. Has
Monet hosted the pit stop? I don't watch
for the last 2 years, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then you just reminded me, have you seen this weird, it's kind of cringy, Angeria campaigning to host a pit stop?
It is, because if I was Monet, how would I feel about my coworker actively campaigning for my job?
Yeah, that is kind of awkward too. I also don't think she's particularly good at hosting.
I think she's very lovely, very affable, has a lovely Southern twang, of course, which would be a good change in voice, but I don't think she has a lot of gravitas or presence. So
do you watch this?
Not that
Stop?
Monet's the greatest ever. I don't, because we talk about it ourselves, and I really, by the time we're done talking about it, I'm like, that's enough Drag Race for this week. You know what I mean? I don't listen to any other recap shows. I don't watch any of them. If I was absolutely, completely obsessed with what was happening during the week, I might watch Untucked, but that's as much as I can give this franchise now.
I think I'm with you. I do occasionally get the itch to listen to an independent. I have no interest in the official or big drag recap shows. Like, I'm talking about honestly, and this is being honest. I know people, this is an attractive thing to people. I'm not particularly interested in drag recap shows hosted by former contestants or people who would want to be a contestant, because I feel that what they say is always colored by the idea of them getting in trouble with World of Wonder.
Yeah.
And so that's why the problem is, now I get it with, drag queens who've been on the show, who want to be on the show. The funny thing is, when you hear these independent drag recap shows, they have it too. I don't know why. Like, it'll be like some faggot in North Dakota and his girlfriend, and they'll be like, we can't say that. We don't want World of Wonder coming after us. I'm like, you think World of Wonder is coming after your show? World of Wonder doesn't give a shit about your fucking show.
I guess that's the thing. It depends on when you put the microphone connected to your computer. Do you think you're speaking to everyone who gives a fuck about this show, or do you think you're speaking to a specific sect of a niche internet corner? I recognize the latter. Some people think they're fucking, I don't know, giving the State of the Union.
Yeah, it's like, at the end of the day, no one gives a shit, right? But whatever. All right, on that note, I've hit my contractually obligated thing here. How does this work? How do we do this show again? Yeah, there we go. Robert, what's going on for you this week? What can we expect from a Robert Mata social media page of the highlights of your week?
Well, I don't post, so what are you talking about?
How about in a pretend world where you do?
In a pretend world where I do, let's see, I have some dinners, I have a screening, I have The Bachelor, like you said. My sister might stay with me next weekend. I have to see my boyfriend. The usual stuff. It's actually pretty chilled this week. I mean, if I might go protest again as well, but I find, personally, I don't like to post things about protests because I find it a little attention grabby. Even though it needs to be spread, I don't have to be the one spreading it. I'm there.
I will say, look, here's what I'll say. If anyone follows me on social media, I post maybe just as much, a little or less than you do. But I was seeing a lot of dialogue online that was very much like, if you're not posting something or then you're part of the problem. I was like, well, I'll post this one thing and I'll try to make it funny.
That's fine. I mean, it's the same discourse with posting a black square during BLM,
I agree with you. And I want to talk to my friend Carlo, who probably knows more about this. What's really funny is I want to know the story behind this. So when I posted my video, within, 10 minutes, it had hundreds of views. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna go somewhere. And then it just stopped. And then it just crept up to 500 views. And so I don't know how the TikTok algorithm works, but something stopped the momentum. And I don't know why. It's very interesting to me. I mean, I'm not doing this to be viral. So, I wasn't heartbroken, but I was like, oh, that's very interesting. I wonder how that works. So
that is interesting. Also, I realized I had a note that I did not bring up until now, and it's completely apropos of nothing. Have you seen that interview with Sissy Spacek and Loretta Lynn?
Isn't Loretta Lynn dead?
Yeah, but it's from years ago. It's after the movie she won the Oscar for.
Coal Miner's Daughter.
They are giving the strongest damn Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo fucking connect. It's so strange. You should see it.
I should go watch it. But now that we're shifting to a thing where Elphaba and Glinda are enemies, are they going to now be shading each other in interviews?
I I mean, there isn't his personal life who's interested in Wicked who doesn't know how it ends. So I don't know if they need to create discussion like that, but we'll see. I don't know.
All right. All right, guys. We even talked about the music. We'll talk to you guys later.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.